Hey, welcome back to the C Morning Show. Today we will discuss a rather heavy topic regarding child psychology, namely child grooming. What's your take on child grooming?
I know this has been really, especially for parents, it's really frightening. Something that I see this as an importance as a parent nowadays. Usually if we go back to the 80s or maybe the 90s, child grooming would be more, they meet on a reality, right? But now because of technology and the digital world, the digital realm, kids can be groomed, every second from anywhere. So hence that's why, as far as I know, again, child grooming is a type of sexual abuse. However, it still remains relatively right now for people that is just not know about it or people are scared about this. Now, child grooming victims often do not realize they are in danger, and this is concerning for many parents such as us. And since a lot of minors start to go on dating scenes early in this day and age, not just that, minors would sometimes start relationship with those who are considerably older than them.
And this is why parents must identify the warning signs of child grooming. To find out more, let's chat with today's guest, personal growth clinical psychologist, Rachel Poniman. Thank you for joining us,
Good morning, Rachel.
Thank you for having me back.
Thank you.
Glad to be here on Friday morning.
Yes, it's a heavy topic for a Friday morning.
Definitely.
But indeed it is the weekend.
So give us a little explanation about child grooming. What is it?
Okay, so child grooming is a manipulative process between an adult, so those above the age of 17 here in Indonesia, with minors, so those below the age of 17. And it's usually with an intent to abuse or harm or exploit the child.
Yeah.
So it is considered as a preparatory stage for child sexual abuse. And it can happen online, offline. It includes ranges of behavior, nonverbal and verbal communication between the groomer and the child. And it does happen here in Indonesia, sadly, and all around the world.
Yeah.
It happens across industries too, in the entertainment, schools and homes.
Right. No, we were actually mentioning before in our prologue, because we think at first, in my case, I'm kind of really focusing on my children, the importance of seeing what they're playing, because right now, even in the game sites, they can chat with people online. We don't know if that's their friends from their age group or someone that is older. But we're also mentioning about relationships. And I think this is really important and very interesting. I'm also very curious because back in the days when we're in high school, I think high school girls was kind of very eminent and they feel very proud if they go out with someone that is older than their age, someone in uni or someone that is already working. I mean, thus they're older. I mean, when we're in high school, we're still minors. We're still 14, 15, 16. And these men, or maybe women, but most probably more men, that is older than them. So we're seeing a lot of this cross-generation, I think until now, especially because of social media, Rachel, I think there's a lot of girls that's looking more like an adult, hence that's why men probably would come after them, and then knowing their age, they didn't back down. They're like, okay, I'm gonna like this girl, I'm just gonna go with it. So how do you see this kind of cross-generation culture that has not kind of diminishing? It's even, it's increasing more likely.
So there's definitely a lot of factors at play. There is maybe ingrained behaviors, something like passed down teachings, informal teachings where like, for a woman, it's better if you date someone who's older.
That's right.
Those are like cultural teachings and family teachings, so that can be at play. Social media definitely is a big thing because you cannot really control how far a child or an adult, browse through social media or the internet, right? So they can be exposed to a lot of things. So that is definitely one. Religion is one. Daddy or mommy issues is another one. So it's a lot. It's a
lot of factors.
Dynamic.
I don't know how to handle the dating issue, right? I try to be the best parents I can be, but at the same time, I don't really.
That's why we have Rachel here today to kind of explain to us
How can I be
what
better
to do.
Parents? So does this usually? I heard a lot of this happening with girls, but does this happen to boys also, or like what's the concern on this?
Yeah. So child grooming and any type of abuse does not look at gender, does not look at race, does not look at your social economic factors or religion. But sadly, with child grooming, girls are higher in percentage. As
Yeah, as data has shown also. In regards to the groomers, well, let's take from the opposite side. Why are they doing this? Why are they groomers doing this? Are they having the same issues also? Like you were mentioning, daddy issues, mommy issues, or the family dynamic that he or she has in their household, hence made them to who they are right now.
You're going to the right direction. So usually the abuser is either abused themselves or not.
Okay.
So if they were abused themselves, they're more likely to become the abuser.
Okay.
But if they weren't, then it's maybe that they have their own issues going on, their own fetishes. We don't know because pedophilia also exists, right?
Yes.
Aside from that, maybe they have other mental disorders at play there.
Right.
Yeah, this is kind of bringing me back, like the newly cases that been bringing up, the Jeffrey Epstein's. Like,
That's
you know,
right,
like,
yeah.
all these kids, and then like at the same time, like we see like all these names and like, what's the obsession?
Yeah,
with this?
and that's why Rachel said it's cross organization, right?
Right.
And you know, industries.
Or
Right.
maybe it's power play.
Yeah.
You don't know, right?
True that, yeah. Oh, yes. That's interesting, like the power play. So, does it? Sorry, let's make it this
I
clear.
can see that you're thinking very hard.
No, because are we talking? Is every child abuse considered as child grooming, or child grooming is a whole different set of thing? Because again, like what you're describing, sometimes can just consider as child abuse at the same time. Child grooming, there's the word grooming, so it sounds like it's something that you're gonna take some time
That's
to
right.
actually get to the victims.
So not all child abuse have grooming, let's say, because there are different types of abuse, right? Emotionally, physically, and this is sexually.
Yeah.
So usually grooming happens in sexual abuse cases. Not only that, it can happen to any type of abuse, but with sexual abuse, child sexual abuse in particular. It's called grooming because it's the preparatory stage. So the groomer preps the child to then be sexually abused because they have to later on maintain control, right,
Oh, yeah.
of keeping the relationship, maintaining the child with them, staying silent and things like that. So you kind of have to go through like these stages. The groomers have to go through the stages to then sexually assault them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time and also stages, and it seems that they're very consistent and also very committed.
Yeah.
Now, what
They're
kind
more
of
calculated, let's say.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what kind of factors, or I mean, what kind of signs of child grooming that we might see in our child that parents should be aware of? Kind of like an alarm for us, Rachel.
So, first and foremost, let me say that it is hard to know
Right.
whether your child is being groomed or not because the behaviors can look like a normal caring adult and child interaction, right? And so the first few signs that you may need to be wary of, the red flags, is if your child is starting to spend more time away from school, from home, they're more secretive of who they talk to,
Yeah.
more secretive of who they spend time with outside of school and outside of their home.
Yeah.
Maybe they start using sexual like terms or words that is inappropriate for their age.
Yeah.
Or if they have like, you know, weird relationships with like older, that you know that they're older. Those are the first signs. Aside from behavioral changes.
Yeah.
Maybe they've started becoming more aggressive. They started withdrawing more, or
Yeah.
they started, you know, you start finding cigarettes or other drugs at your
Yeah.
home. Those are the warning signs.
Yeah, those kind of the factors too. Sorry, Andrew, I have to have a following questions to Rachel in regards to this. Would you say that the parents would be at fault in this? Let's say if you would have a warm, a family united kind of household, that your child would probably not be prone or finding a care, affection from other people outside of their household or outside of their family, outside of their parents.
So here's the thing. It is, at the end of the day, an abuse. There is a victim and there is a perpetrator. So the fault would be still at the perpetrator side.
Okay.
So who's at fault? It's the groomer. But sometimes parents aren't the best parents, right? Some parents aren't the best. So parents can be indirectly at fault if they themselves abuse the child or the situation at home is not very healthy or it's toxic. When parents aren't really responsible,
Yes.
then they're, making the child more prone to the abuse.
Right.
If they themselves neglect their children emotionally and physically, let's say, the child has a higher probability of seeing it as a normal behavior, so they wouldn't notice that, oh, my relationship with this adult man is unhealthy.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what a healthy relationship is
Right.
like, because they don't have it at home.
Or maybe like they would see it as, I got this affection. Maybe I don't got this from my parents because they're too
Yes.
busy working, but I got this attention and affectionate from this man or from this woman, that hence
Yes.
that's why I'm attracted to this person. And they don't see that as a grooming or at fault because I needed love and I think everyone deserves love,
Yes.
right? Yeah, that's a scary moment right there.
Yeah.
It's an eye opener.
Yeah, but at the same time, well, as a father, I try to be there to my daughter, but at the same time, we don't know what's going on her head. Like I try to see like what's going on in her iPad, but at the same time, it's like there's so much that we can know. I mean, it reminds me. I remember Oprah had the interview some of the victims from one of the late singer. I don't know if you're familiar. Well, it's MJ.
Yeah.
And then she mentioned like Rachel mentioned earlier, the groomer doesn't realize that they being groomed because it feels like it's affection, like it's somebody that
It's a
somebody you
genuine,
trust, right?
yes.
And then taking care of like when you're doing it, like it doesn't feel wrong. And so how can we? I don't know how can I talk to my kids saying like, hey, you're not supposed to feel this way yet, or the boundaries, pretty much. What's the boundaries? And to make her or him understand where it needs to stop or when
To
they
draw
need
the
stop.
line.
Yeah.
So when it comes to parenting, definitely, some of the first few things that you can start at an early age is teaching them what a healthy relationship looks like, teaching them consent, teaching them the boundaries, including physical boundaries. So where's the touch zone, okay touch zone, so this would be okay, right? And then where's the no touch zone? Where's moments where you have to say no or actually speak up? So the sooner the better. There's no too young of an age to start teaching them about their bodies.
Yeah.
So you want to empower them that it's okay to speak up for things that doesn't feel right. And it's okay to talk to parents, to you guys, if something goes wrong. You won't be angry to them, but instead you'll be there and you'll listen to them. So empowering them to develop trust and an open communication with you guys.
Yeah.
And another thing that I'd like to mention, because we are living in a digital age, children will inevitably get exposed to media and to the internet. So instead of kind of grounding them from the internet, that would be ineffective because they were born into it.
Yeah.
So instead, limiting how much they spend online, teaching them what is the red flags online. Maybe you want to start using monitoring or filtering applications.
Yes.
Those exist.
Yes.
But the most important thing is establishing an online safety measure. So where is the line between safe and unsafe? And that's a conversation that you can have with your children. They have this online too. I was searching it up, online safety measures for children, and then you can just read and maybe teach that to your children.
Yeah.
It can look differently for your household because maybe you have your own preferences and you have
Yes.
yours. So you can definitely alter it how you'd like to your children, but it's important to let them know of what is the dangers, for example, child grooming. How can the child notice if it's right or wrong?
That's right.
And what can they do? Probably number one is talk to mom or dad about
Yes.
it. And it's important to keep an non-judgmental like character.
Yeah.
Because you want to be, well, everyone strives to be the parent where their children wants to be open with them.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be consistent with that too. If something goes wrong, maybe hold back on the anger and ask first what happened, and then we'll brainstorm together the next steps.
And it's great today because we're like a parenting talk also with Rachel. I'm listening to you word by word right now, Rachel, and I know it is such an easy way for us to understand, but to apply it sometimes.
Yes.
It takes like a toll, but definitely what we need right now in this day and
I
age.
mean, like what I get is like communicate with your children, but like
Yeah.
the topic is just like,
Yeah.
oh man, I don't know
And
how.
it's like you're playing on your game sites for like 1 hour. What are you doing? And like before the anger, ask the question first. Now, I know that we're kind of short of time right now, but I do have one more question for you, Rachel.
Yes.
We need to know what would be the aftermath for the victims if they experience child grooming. What would be the trauma effect for them in the long run?
Whew, trauma, this is another heavy topic. So, number one is don't be afraid to seek help, because a lot of people feel ashamed.
Yeah.
And they feel guilty and they blame themselves for what happened. But remember that it's not their fault. This is abuse, this is a crime. This happened to you, it's not because of you, but because of them. So don't be afraid to speak up, because you won't be at fault. That's like the number one thing that people always think about.
Yeah.
It's not bad to seek professionals. We're here for a reason, and we are trained in helping you, especially going through trauma, going through abuse. And don't hesitate in seeking help from parents or friends, because you don't have to suffer through it alone.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
There you go.
Ooh.
You got the solution, right? At least now, I mean, we can never control what is happening beyond us, but at least we can control what we should do for all the good and also the challenges in life.
Yes, Beth, thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you
you,
so
Rachel.
much.
Thank you for sharing.
Wonderful to
and
be
then,
here, always.
especially on this.
We already got the
Friday
knowledge, now it's the app of how to apply it.
Yes.
How to apply it.
I don't know about you. One of the things that I do, like usually I have my daughter have her own YouTube account. Nowadays I just like, no, just use mine. That way I can actually see what appear
right.
on, because like, every time they suggest something, it's like, oh, okay, this is not right. So,
Yes.
because like Rachel mentioned before, you cannot really stop them from going with their gadgets. So,
Yes.
I mean, again, Roblox is just something else. I don't know what to do with that.
My 10-year-old is asking for a phone. I'm like, not yet. Not until you're in junior high school at least.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's another conversation right
That's
there. All right, we'll talk about phone and what age they're gonna do next time. But for right now, let's go for a break. But we will have more updates from around the world when we return. So stay here with us on the CE Morning Show.
Thank you so much.